Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard! The words froze in his throat as a deafening thud shook the cockpit. The co-pilot's eyes went wide. Outside the window, a shadow flashed past. Metal, light, and chaos. Captain Argent's head whipped to the left. The nose of another aircraft had grazed their parked plane while he was mid. The cockpit rattled. Papers flew. And for one heartbeat, everyone thought this was the end. Passengers screamed. Someone prayed aloud. A baby cried in the back. The flight attendants gripped seatbacks, staring toward the cockpit door like it was the gate to heaven or hell. Argent could hear the pounding of his own heart louder than the static in his headset. He took a slow, deliberate breath. His training told him to stay calm. But this was different. They were still on the ground, yet danger had brushed them close enough to feel its breath. Flashback. Arjun had been flying for IndiGo for 12 years. A perfectionist in the sky, but humble on the ground. He still remembered the first time he set foot in a cockpit 24 years old, staring at the endless dashboard of blinking lights like it was a galaxy. His father, a small-town shopkeeper, had saved every rupee to put him through flight school. That morning, his wife had packed his lunch with a little handwritten note. "Come back safe, Captain!" He'd smiled at it while buttoning his uniform, never imagining the universe would test that promise in such a cruel way before the day even began. Back in the present, Arjun knew hundreds of lives depended on the next words out of his mouth. His mic was still on. Everyone was waiting. He spoke slowly, voice steady but warm. Ladies and gentlemen, we have just experienced a minor incident on the ground. Everyone is safe. I repeat, everyone is safe. Please stay seated as we follow protocol. The cabin seemed to exhale in unison. Passengers looked at each other, some with tears in their eyes, some whispering silent prayers. The man in seat 128 pressed his palms together and whispered, "Thank you, God." Outside, the ground crew scrambled like ants, assessing damage. The other aircraft had clipped them while taxiing dangerous, but not catastrophic. And yet, in that moment, Arjun noticed something extraordinary. Instead of panic, there was gratitude. People weren't cursing the delay, the inconvenience, or the scare. They were hugging, holding hands, making phone calls to tell loved ones they were okay. Strangers comforted each other like old friends. A little boy tugged his mother's sleeve and asked, "Mom, is the pilot an angel?" She smiled, eyes wet, and nodded toward the cockpit. Arjun sat in his seat, headset resting on the console, watching through the small glass window as people pressed their palms together in the ancient Indian gesture of thanks. Not to him, but to life itself. When the replacement aircraft finally arrived hours later, boarding was quiet and respectful. No pushing, no rushing. As passengers filed past the cockpit, some touched their hearts. Others whispered blessings. One elderly woman clasped Arjun's hand and said, "Today, you reminded us how precious every second is." The flight eventually took off into a crimson sunset. Arjun gazed at the horizon, the engines humming like a lullaby. In his mind, he replayed the sound of that impact, the chaos, and then the silence that followed. Sometimes near death doesn't make you afraid. It makes you alive. Moral: life is a fragile miracle. One small twist of fate can end it or make you cherish it more than ever. If this story touched you, subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, and drop a karma in the comments below.